Well, now that I think about it, the Teletubbies show is kind of creepy in a way. Like I said before, it has a big list of odd things in the show, and its annoying repetitiveness is clearly one of them, which is probably what made me uninterested in watching the show as a really young toddler. Because as you might have not know, I really dislike clear repetitiveness, and the Teletubbies show has that a lot. From the same old boring Teletubbies plot to the boring video of kids played on the Teletubbies that forces you to watch it twice. Which is the one segment I dislike the most about the show, because they play a video like all the time. Well, not all the time, but like in every episode they play a video. And that's what makes this show a bit odd and repetitive. And most parents can agree since the show has a really low rating. Well, I don't blame him. But it's not just the show itself that's odd, but the Teletubbies themselves. Really the main aspect of the show. I mean, just look at them. Yes, they may look cute and all, and I can agree with that, but in reality, they are really big. In fact, they are all taller than Barney the dinosaur, who is 6 feet tall. The smallest Teletubby, which is Poe, would be around 6 foot 6 inches, the same height as Michael Jordan, and that is obviously really tall. While for the tallest Teletubby, which is Tinky Winky, he would actually be around 10 feet. Yes, 10 feet. Even the world's tallest known man in the world, Robert Wadlow, can be compared to Tinky Winky's height. So basically, Tinky Winky is as tall as an NBA basketball net. Just imagine a 10 feet tall, chubby, purple creature with a mini television screen on its belly and an antenna on its head, standing in front of you with its very big, cute eyes staring into your soul like a cat. Yep, okay, that to me already sounds really creepy. But I do think that the Teletubbies were supposed to be intentionally cute than creepy. So yeah, I can really see why people think that they're creepy. Don't believe me? Well, here's our proof. I called some random penguin in Antarctica, and I asked him if the Teletubbies were creepy. So here's the recorded call. So, random penguin that I found that I do not know, do you think that the Teletubbies are creepy?
Yeah, sure.
Well, ya heard it here, folks. The Teletubbies are indeed creepy, confirmed by a random penguin. Wait, what? A random penguin that actually replied? Nah, it's perfectly normal. Okay, penguin, you can go back to whatever you were doing, I guess.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, now get out. Like, seriously, get out of here. Shoo, waddle on. Okay, fine. I'll be a little nicer. Please get out. What an interesting call. But yeah, that proves that a lot of people do think that the Teletubbies are creepy. And some people even made conspiracy theories about the Teletubbies. But don't get me wrong, I don't believe in those theories. But what I do believe is that a horror game using the Teletubbies would make them look creepier and perhaps ruin a person's childhood. An example would be the Slendytubbies, which wasn't scary to me, but for the sequel, that's a different story. And as you can tell by the title of this video, I will tell that story or review. Well, mostly the review part. But if you haven't seen my first review about the first Slendytubbies game, then what are you doing here, huh? Huh? It's better watching the videos in order. You gotta watch the first video first before you watch this one. And all of my videos too, you know. So without further ado, let's just jump right into the review. Almost 2 years after the release of the first Slendytubbies game, it was time for ZeoWorks to give birth to the psychotic sequel of its predecessor. A sequel that was so psychotic that in my opinion, it changed the whole upcoming saga for the Slendytubbies. But why was this sequel so psychotic? And how did it affect the rest of the Slendytubbies saga? Well, that's probably because it was a massive improvement from the first game. Because Slendytubbies II has a lot of stuff that was in the first game, but more better. And it also also has some other stuff that wasn't in the first game either. Like instead of just using the same old boring flashlight to navigate your way like in a lot of other horror games, you can use a night vision camera with a flashlight installed. Which I guess can be real handy for you in really dark maps where the flashlight can't really help you. When you use night vision, the number on the corner of the screen can count down to 0, which I guess is supposed to represent the battery. When the number gets to 0, you temporarily can't use night vision until the number goes back up to 10, and that's when you can use it again, which is cool I guess. Slendytubbies II has only 10 maps and they look much better than the only 3 maps in the first game. The 10 maps in Slendytubbies II are Teletubby Land for Night and Rain, Teletubby for Day and Fog, Teletubby Secret Lair, Teletubby Lake, Teletubby Outskirts, Satellite Station, Teletubby Secret Center, the classic Slendytubbies map, Tubbycraft, which is the most unscariest map in Slendytubbies 2, and finally Teletubby Training Maze. But the best map in terms of how scary they are and how they look out of all of these is probably Teletubby Outskirts for me. The environment itself and the broken structures on the map already looks creepy to me, and the atmosphere or the skybox of the map is perfect because it's not too dark, but it's not too bright. Now for the monsters in this game, which really is the key part for this game, because there's finally more than one Slendytubby in this game that isn't Tinky Winky. And all Teletubbies appear as Slendytubbies in the game, but there's still bodies of some Teletubbies in the game. For the Slendytubbies in the game, let's just start off with Tinky Tank, who is a bigger and buffer version of Tinky Winky. Like geez, look at the size of him. They made him so buff and disproportionate. His arms are literally longer than his legs. His head is literally so small compared to his body that it's probably the same size as regular Tinky Winky's head. Dude, he's basically the Amazing Bulk but more muscular. And that is why he's my favorite Slendytubby in the game, because of how over the top it looks. Now just imagine, Tinky Winky is already 10 feet tall, but Tinky Tank is much bigger than him. Tinky Tank is probably like 20 feet tall or something. But what I like a lot about him is that he's kind of a silent killer like Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees, but not exactly mute. He does have a pretty deep voice in the game, which is one of the considered Easter eggs for Slendytubbies 2. And he also speaks English in the game, but he's mostly silent when he's idle. But hey, at least he doesn't have irritating screams, unlike one person. Then there's Lala, which is the opposite of Tinky Tank since she appears to be really skinny with her long, thin arms. Lala also has a very strange body movement as she appears to be consistently twitchy, especially when she's chasing after you, and in a sense that she will brutally put you out in a vicious way. She is also surprisingly really fast that she could sneak up to you silently, and Lala's face also resembles the same face on her dead body, which some believe that Lala turned into a Slendytubby because she got infected by Tinky Winky. And I'll talk about this infected topic a little later. And that is what makes Lala one of the creepiest Slendytubbies in the game. She is mainly the antagonist in the Teletubby Outskirts map, and that map really suits her. And now we have Dipsy, or Lake Dipsy, as we call him in the game. He is the Slendytubby in the Teletubby Lake map, and a lot like Poe, he is really tall and has long, thin limbs. But what's different about him is that he has a higher vision, which could help him spot the player much more easier. So yeah, next Slendytubby. Then we have Poe, and she looks really weird. And that's probably because she has these extra limbs growing out of her back, with blades at the end. I mean, she looks creepy, but I wasn't expecting that from Poe. Anyways, she's a really fast Slendytubby, and she just makes clickety-clackety noises, I guess. And you can find her in the Satellite Station map because for some reason this game has a map that's inside a satellite. Totally not random. Moving on to Dipsy again, but this time it's Chainsaw Dipsy and he can be found in Secret Center. And as you can tell by his name, he just carries a chainsaw. That's it. And also, he's the most avoidable character in the game since, you know, he makes loud chainsaw noises. Then you have the newborns, who are not one of the main Teletubbies. But they are really frustratingly annoying because 1, there are 2 of them and they play in Secret Lair, which is a small map. 2, they make annoying sounds. And 3, they are really fast. All of that in just one small map, which is why they're my second least favorite Slendytubbies in the game. But wait a minute, then who's our least favorite Slendytubby, Mr. Boogan? Well, the other Slendytubbies aren't comparable to such a thing. It's Minecraft Tinky Winky, who appears in the Tubbycraft map. I mean, just look at him. Do you really think that that is scary or at least creepy?
That's disgusting.
That blocky purple thing is not even comparable to the other Slendytubbies. And in my personal opinion, that thing does not even look like a Minecraft avatar. He literally looks more like this than this. And I do get this is a joke, but it's just so lazily designed. The developers have added new animations for the Slendytubbies, but this thing is the only Slendytubby that doesn't have it. Whatever, how about we just move on to the gameplay. Now for the single player mode, it's actually better than the one in the original Slendytubbies game, as it contains more new maps and Slendytubbies. The Slendytubbies in this game are nicely programmed, except for that thing. And sometimes pretty clever, because like I explained before, each Slendytubby has their own characteristic and their own way of hunting down the player, which is what makes them more superior than the only Slendytubby in the first game. Except for that thing. In fact, there's a new feature that was added where you could select the amount of custards in the maps from 1 to 25. That way, it could be easier or harder to find the custards. But for multiplayer, there's a new and better system for the online lobby. And because of that, you don't need a private networking program anymore to play online, making it much easier to play with people and to play with your friends. But ever since that has happened, more and more people played online in different regions, making the game much more popular than its predecessor. So popular that it made half of the world explode. But overall, multiplayer is much better, especially having more and more players online. Now let's move on to the Easter eggs of this game, shall we? Now the first Easter egg, it's so random that you get Rick rolled. Yes, the Easter egg is literally Rick Astley. Bro! What game has Rick Astley as an Easter egg in it? Okay, class. Now tell me what game has an Easter egg appearance of Rick Astley. But before you do, please don't shout out the answers. It's not good for your health. Anyone? Anyone? Anyone have an idea? Oh, yes, Timmy.
Is it Slendytubbies II?
Yes! Yes! You're right! You're right, it is Slendytubbies II. I don't know why it has Rick Astley as an Easter egg, but you're right! You get a star! Anywho, to find Rick Astley, you're gonna have to climb up some mountains on a specific location that is left from the spawn point. There, you will find Rick Astley dancing with his weirdly jointed arms with the song Never Gonna Give You Up. Yep, pretty interesting. But there is actually another Rick Astley appearance in the secret layer map, but there isn't any music, and he's behind the bars of a sewer thingamabobber. The next Easter egg is Tinky Tank's voice in Teletubby Land, but his actual voice in the game is really slow. But if you speed it up, you'll get this.
Come out wherever you are. I will find you. You can't hide from me. I see you. You better start running.
Pretty dang creepy, not gonna lie. The next Easter egg is similar to the Tinky Tank one, and it's in the Teletubby Lake map, except it's Dipsy's voice. Here, listen.
Come back. You knew coming back would be a lost cause. Everyone is affected. Everyone's dead. It's just a lost cause. Run while you still can.
Yeah, pretty creepy. Remember earlier when I said I would talk about this infected topic later on in the video? Yeah, probably not, but now I'm gonna explain. Notice how he said infected in the recording because that supports the supposed unofficial plot of Slendytubbies II. Dipsy said that everybody is infected and everybody is dead. Then Dipsy calmly warns the player to run. Because here on the Slendytubbies II wiki, it says after Tinky Winky killed Po, Lala, and Dipsy, they became infected and 3 new threats arrived. After that, the newborns were created and the Guardian Teletubby is getting the custards again for investigation. The plot of this game is uncertain, but this piece of recording supports the plot very well. So yeah, that is it. And the infection thingamabobber will go later on into Slendytubbies 3. But what do I think about Slendytubbies 2? Well, like I said again, it is a surprisingly huge improvement from the first one. A lot of work and effort was put into this game, and I respect that, even though it's about the Teletubbies. Though the first game was supposed to be a simple joke, but it went too far and created an entire saga, thus making Slendytubbies 2 the first serious and actual good and creepy game. So for my final rating of this game, I'll give it a 7.4 out of 10. Good job, ZeoWorks. This game was actually good. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching and see you later.